It's been a long time since I had a chance to talk with you directly again, Abraham. I think of you a lot. I do your work, study your materials, and been practicing probably for the past 9-10 years, and it's altered my life, just immensely. On finance, from the standpoint of investing, I've been through good times and bad times in my career, and I lost just about everything back in '94, and I've basically built a pretty nice nest egg for myself and wanting to reinvest again. And then I've got all this stuff about the economy and what could happen with another earthquake, and I've been through all of that. I've seen the best and I've seen the worst, and I'm going through some really great times, and I want to feel good to just go with my feelings versus my experiences.
We want to ask you some questions because as you describe this, we can feel within you, at least it's focused here as you're speaking it, and it's really an active vibration in your physical human world. It is articulated through the expression, well, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And what people mean by that is good times may come, but when good times really become good times, then there's always a bad time that follows behind. And people almost tense against it. It's like they're almost embarrassed to be really enjoying the good time because they don't want the excruciating feeling of having then to be faced with the bad time. It's almost like I'm better off to just keep myself in a pretty bad place because that way, when that shoe drops, I'll hardly notice. There are people who really did not have much money invested in the stock market, really did not have much to invest, but gathered some funds some way and invested them and experienced extraordinary inflation. With a little bit of money, not very much, turning into a lot of money, turning into a little bit of money again. And their feeling is, I had all of this money that I have lost. When the reality of it was, they had a little bit of money, now they've got a little bit of money, and nothing's really changed except that they let themselves want. And people worry about that. They don't want to let themselves want things that they're not sure that they can fulfill, you see. And that's what we're feeling here. It's almost like you're saying, I'm really afraid to really let myself go completely into the belief that I am a thriver. Because if I don't maintain this level of thriving, I will suffer. Esther heard just a few sentences of an interview of a very influential man on television the other night. And he was saying to his interviewer that he believes that the thing that is going most wrong in corporate economy is the rigid belief that next quarter must be bigger financially than this quarter, and that this quarter must be bigger than last quarter. In other words, it's this belief that every quarter has got to, no matter what, show growth over the other. And Esther knew exactly why he is understanding that, because it takes all the fun of it. It means you're not doing anything for any other reason other than for the growth factor. And she knows that when you're doing things other than for the joy factor, that then you're not able to read your vibration right. Then you can't tell where you are in the balance of anything, you say. And so just enjoy the thriving and expect it to continue. And do not feel alarm. Do not keep such close scrutiny upon the details of the way things are unfolding. Let your attention be upon the joy of the journey. In other words, there are those who would say, oh, I'm an artist or I'm a musician, I'm creative, and the joy really is in the journey. And those who are accountants or those who are in real estate or those who are computer programmers might say, well, my joy is more in the destination because the journey sometimes is a little bit of a grind. And we say, you got to make that journey joyful. You have to start enjoying the people that you're meeting and start enjoying getting in on people's dreams and begin to enjoy the fun of being part of fulfilling dreams and enjoy the wisdom that you hold and the guidance that you're able to give to people and the insight that you have and the inspiration that comes to you and the excellent timing. Begin enjoying the intuition that comes to you, the impulse to act and the rightness of the action. There's so much about what you're doing that you recognize, oh, that was a good move. That was really good timing. And as you start enjoying more of that, what begins to happen is the outcome becomes irrelevant because the dollars are just non-essential. They are huge and therefore non-essential. In other words, they become a non-issue. The joy of the journey becomes the issue. And then people gravitate to you because they want the good experience. You find them saying to you, even when things don't work out in the way that you all planned, hey, it was a great time. We all learned a lot. We're in a better place. Next time will be better. You'll hear them say, when I get geared up for the next one, I'll call you. And they do. You say? Good.
Outstanding. Thank
Yes,
you
it is.
very much.
Yes, it is. Here. Here.
Hello. I have written them down, so. When we come across some issue that we do not want, does that mean we are vibrating negative about that issue? Or could it be that our source is telling us that this issue, not our vibration, is not meant to be part of our experience?
It's a really good question, and we will answer it more fully if you want. But the bottom line is, it doesn't make any difference which of those is accurate. The point is, the thoughts are not beneficial to you, so something needs to change. And if you just begin being aware of the way you're feeling and work toward feeling good, what you will come to understand is that your guidance is always guiding you toward that which is good. Your question talks about something else that's very deep and rumbling within many people, and it goes like this. How do I know if what I think I want is appropriate for me to want? In other words, what if the idea of this feels good to me, but really on some other level it's wrong? And we say, if it feels good to you, it cannot be wrong on some other level. And then people will say, well, Abraham, I don't think that's right, because I've heard people who were killing people after the fact describe their glee or their enjoyment in the process. And we say, well, what you are really trying to do is understand what someone else is feeling by their words after the fact. We know that no one can offer that sort of heinous act without being so violently disconnected from their source of well-being. In other words, you can't even be rude to someone when you're connected. You couldn't make a rude remark to someone or turn on your heels and walk away from someone, leaving them wondering what they'd done wrong. If you were in a fully connected state, that cannot happen. It's impossible for you to be lined up with your source and unkind, let alone murder someone, you see. And so you never need to worry. Once you have taught yourself this art of being aware of your connection to source, you never need to worry about something feeling good not really being good.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
I'm so excited. I guess what I wanted to ask about is, I do stand-up comedy, and I find that I am a positive person, but I'm often in a very harsh environment, especially for women, I think. I'm getting emotional. And I'm trying to do this positive stuff. But, like, one weekend I was just Abrahammed up. I listened to so much of your stuff and was really excited about it. And then went out that night like, oh, I'm going to have a great night. And I swear to God, I had the worst set of my life, like humiliation beyond.
Because you weren't a match to them?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the thing, is that the environment, I work out at the Comedy Store, which is renowned for being a very tough room. And part of why I do it is because I know it makes me much better as a comedian in other places I go. But it's kind of like guerrilla training. It's brutal. I mean...
Well, how do you see them? In other words, listen to what you're saying here. You're saying, I am a comic and I'm pretty good at it. But this is a particularly tough room. So think about what you've activated in yourself,
already.
Just knowing that. Now, you could turn that around by saying, I'm going to have to be really, really good to get them.
Right.
And they're going to evoke the very best of me to
Right.
get them. And I can do that because I've done it on many, many occasions. Now you're back in alignment. As you came here, you said, I am so excited. And sometimes when people come here, they have this I want to come, I don't want to come, I want to come, I don't want to come. In other words, sometimes we'll call on someone because we can feel the power of their desire is so bright. In other words, the light of their desire is rocketing to the boundaries of the universe. And we know that they want to talk about it, but they don't want to talk about it. But when you came to the chair just now, we could feel you really wanted to be here. In other words, you were in alignment about being here. Even though there are some things that you're struggling with, you really wanted to be here. And that's the way you have to be when you go on that stage. You have to really want to be there. In other words, if you are invested in your outcome, in other words, I want to knock them dead. I want to be the funniest one that they've ever heard, so that you are focused upon the end result. Now, that's more difficult than if you are saying, I'm going to go see what they can get from me. I'm going to go see how they can help me hone my craft. I'm going to go see how they can help me discover a unique timing. I'm going to go see how together we can co-create something that is really, really on, because you can be really on and your audience can be really off. And if your audience is really off and you're really on, you're not connecting. And you say, well, I should have been able to do something about that. And we say, you can do something about that if you're flexible and understanding that your audience is flexible. And you can do a lot of your activating in them even while you're backstage, even while you're driving to where you're going, just by acknowledging how flexible and easy it is once you get there. And by saying things like, I love doing it, I'm at my very best when I am doing it, I adore doing it, I love the new insights that are sometimes even born right in the middle of a sentence, those kinds of things.
And I have been doing that, and in fact, it's interesting because after that horrific set, which was like literally I had to hide at the back of the room because I actually couldn't look at anybody in the eye, I actually started having really good sets of that because I think it was the rockets of desire coming.
Your desire went into a whole new place. It did. And so you say, oh, bless that torturous set that gave birth to so much more within me. And every comic at the top will tell you that's why they're so good.
Right. And I guess this goes for general things. Like sometimes I'll be feeling great and then right literally in the 30 seconds before I go up on stage, I'll have like a sabotaging thought. And I think it kind of relates to a lot of aspects in life where I was putting like 95% of the time I'll feel positive about, and this could be like relationships or whatever, or where I'm going or something that might happen. But it seems like the 5% of the time where I'll have negative thoughts seems to have so much more power to manifest than the 95% of the time.
That's because, as we were saying earlier, you could have a near-perfect life and just have a few things that aren't going the way you want them to, but you're putting 100% of your attention on those few things that aren't going very well, so it plays a bigger part in your vibration. And it comes from the human indoctrination that says we have to work on our problems in order to solve them. In other words, you chew on them more, you think of them more. In fact, that's why this virtual reality game that we're talking about so much these days, that was born out of that. It was born out of the awareness that you keep working so hard on the things that are bothering you that you make it a bigger player in your vibration that it deserves to be when you look at the percentage of it that's actually happening in your life. That would be like driving down the freeway at 70 miles an hour one day and hitting a pothole and breaking an axle. It's a big pothole. Then from then on, you drive down the freeway, no matter what freeway it is, at 5 miles an hour. You say, I had my experience with freeways.
Right.
That's not going to happen to me again.
Right.